Indianapolis Colts head coach Shane Steichen has been a major letdown in divisional games in his coaching career. Let's get to it.
You are Locked On Colts, your daily Indianapolis Colts podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everyone. My name is Zach Hicks, your resident film nerd of HorseshoeHuddle.com. I'm joined, as always, by Jake Arthur, the boots on the ground for Roundtable Sports. Welcome to Locked On Colts, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network around. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. If you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long. Today, we're going to dive into the Shane Steichen of it all. We're going to talk about the overall concerns with his play calling, but maybe a bigger concern, which is how the Colts keep coming up short in these one-score games versus playoff caliber teams. We're going to talk about that at length in segment one. We're going to talk about the latest injury report for Wednesday, heading into this big matchup against the Jacksonville Jaguars with the AFC South division lead on the line. And then we're going to talk about the kicker change. You guys know I love talking kickers. We're going to have a whole segment talking about special teams and kicker mechanics, maybe, Jake. We'll get into all of that. It'll be so much fun. So stick around to segment 3 for the most fun segment of the year right there. But Jake, there has been a lot of dialogue, a lot of discussion this week in Colts fandom, national media, everyone on this Colts offense and Shane Steichen, where this offense got off to such a hot start early in the year. They've played some better defenses of late. They've kind of sputtered. And there's been, a lot of just discussion about play calling, about overall performance. And Steichen's gotten a lot of that brunt of the criticism there. So let's start this off by talking about the overall play calling, I guess, this past month or so. And then we'll go into the bigger discussion I want to have here, Jake. Personally, I don't think the play calling's been that big of an issue with the Colts. I think there are certainly some moments here and there, but I think a lot of it is kind of revisionist history where it's like, oh, why did they try to go for it with that sneak with Tyler Warren on 4th and 1, kick a field goal in a close game? It's like, yeah, but it was like a 90% conversion chance with a sneak. And if they convert it, no one's saying a thing, So I think a lot of that is revisionist history. Yes, there are some times where it's like you want to run the ball. There's some times where maybe throwing it would be smarter, but by and large, I think the play calling has been fine. Guys just haven't been executing at the same level as of late. Some of the offensive linemen have struggled. Michael Pittman Jr. has gone quiet. Tyler Warren's gone quiet. Josh Downs had some really weird drops in this past game. So I think that's more at fault for the Colts' offensive struggles of late than play calling, but I think play calling is kind of the easy out in a lot of situations. But what are your thoughts there, Jake?
Yeah, I think if they execute the play calls, it's a totally different discussion. You know what I mean? I do think execution has probably been a bigger issue. When you look at the pass catchers, I think they've struggled to get separation. But at the same time, I do think perhaps the Colts have become a little predictable, especially since Jones' injury. Now, you and I have discussed, we don't really think Jones himself is the problem right now, but his lack of mobility certainly has made the Colts offense less diverse, and it's taken away a lot of the stuff that made them successful early on. So I do think teams are keying in on just the most basic of it all to me is load up to stop Jonathan Taylor and make Daniel Jones, who has had to become a drop back pocket passer, essentially make him beat you. And when you're bringing pressure and stuff in the passing situations, it's becoming successful for the defense. So part of it for me with Shane is I do think you have to recognize your shortcomings and be quicker to act about it. Because there's been a lot of times in games where we ask him in a post-game presser, why this, and he's never going to throw anyone under the bus, but I think he just expects everybody to execute at the highest level, which you should, obviously. But sometimes it's a trend, and it's not just an isolated incident of someone not executing. You know what I mean? The offensive line hasn't been doing all that well in the last month, for example. So I just think you have to be real about the issues you have and be quicker I can't say correct them, because if you could correct every issue right away, you would. But try and find a way around it and adjust to what your issues are and knowing where defenses are going to attack.
Yeah, I think they could do a better job of finding different easy buttons because a lot of their play action boot game easy button is gone right now because of the injury at quarterback. So they do need to find some other easy buttons. Maybe it's more quick screens. Maybe it's more just getting the ball out in the flats, getting it out quicker to guys. But overall, I think the play calling hasn't been a big issue. There were plenty of chunk plays that were opened up in this past game, and Daniel Jones did a great job of hitting them. And that's when the Colts move the ball. It's just there were a couple times where the Texans just went straight up man coverage and guys couldn't get open. And that's where plays were dead on arrival. And it's just hard to really say that's on the play caller where it's like, look, against man coverage, sometimes your guys just need to make a play and get open. And they just weren't getting open. And that goes back to the Pittman and Warren discussions where they really had a rough game on Sunday, both of those guys in particular. But the bigger conversation I want to have about Shane Steichen, though, Jake, because again, I don't think the play calling is a massive issue. People can disagree in the comments if they want. But we do have a legit concern here, I think, with Steichen in terms of the team's performance in a lot of these big games. And this is kind of where we get into the tough discussion of vibes, momentum, motivation, and stuff like that. Because there's no analytics to really throw this out. But coaches like DeMeco Ryans, Mike Vrabel, these rah motivator coaches, they don't really come up short in a lot of these big games. They haven't won Super Bowls or anything like that, but their teams are ready to play. They're playing violent, physical football, and you rarely see those teams lay down, especially in divisional games. Those are huge for these types of coaches. And I think Shane Steichen's teams the last couple of years with the Colts have come up short way too often in these must-win situations. Obviously, go back to 2023 and what happened in that final game of the year, a win-and-in type game. And they just weren't able to get it done, even on the backs of Jonathan Taylor having a career performance in that one. They still couldn't get it done. Steichen in his career with the Colts is 2-7 against Jacksonville Jaguars and Houston Texans. And I don't think either of those teams have been number one seed, amazing, perfect football teams. Houston's been a comfortable playoff contender the last couple of years and the playoff team from the AFC South. Jacksonville's been hit or miss if they're going to be good or bad in there, but the Colts are 2-7 against those two teams there. Now his overall divisional record is 8-7 because he's beaten up on the Titans 6 times. But against the two teams where you got to make some progress in this division, if you want to win this division, they've come up short. And I think that's a bigger issue for Shane Steichen than anything play calling or offensive related. It's his teams, and these are all one-score games essentially, outside of 2023 at Jacksonville, they've all been one-score games. They've just been on the wrong end of these one-score games. And we can talk about variance in one-score games, but at the end of the day, the difference between keeping your job and getting fired in the NFL is winning games like this and winning divisions and getting in the playoffs. And constantly coming up short against your division, especially in your divisional home games like we just saw this past Sunday, I think that's a bigger issue for a head coach than anything X's and O's related.
I would agree because, you look at the NFL and any division team, the best versus the worst, the outcome could be, you just never know. You think about the Bills and Patriots back in the day, the Dolphins and Patriots. The worst team in a division can beat the best team in a division on any Sunday. You know what I mean? And it's these are the teams you know the most about and should be able to figure out or get some sort of edge. And yeah, these teams that the Colts are losing to in the division have not been juggernauts whatsoever. They've been fine. Like you mentioned, Houston has been a playoff contender each year, but it seems like the Colts are losing against teams that are just winning kind of a crappy division. Now the division is better this year, don't get me wrong, other than the Titans, but they're losing a lot of winnable games. You go back to 2023 and 2024. But even this year, the Rams should have won that. You had a lead in the fourth quarter. A lot of it gets put on A.D. Mitchell, of course. But Pittsburgh, all the turnovers, and it's the Steelers scored 24 of their 27 points on turnovers. Houston, Kansas City. The problem I'm seeing is a lot of just lack of discipline. Yeah. And boneheaded mistakes and pre-snap penalties and stuff that you're not seeing. I forget which game it was, but they had illegal formation or they had their receivers were not lined up correctly, like twice on the same drive, just stuff like that. So elementary. And I feel like it's so many undisciplined, self-inflicted wounds that really do them in these close contests.
Yeah, and one thing I really want to throw in there is we had a comment here about how, like in this past game, the extra point, the refs, all that stuff kind of came into play in this past game. And I agree if it's like a one-game sample size with Shane Steichen's teams, where we can say, you know what, yeah, that's what happens here. But like that kind of sloppiness and that kind of variance and taking points off the board and giving points to opponents and stuff has been a constant theme in these big-time games against divisional opponents. I mean, heck, we go back to that 2023 game against Houston to decide who goes in the playoffs. And Minshew leaves that pass a little short. Goodson's unable to scoop it up and is unable to get that first down, and they end up losing that game. That's just one example where, look, I'm not saying that the coach is responsible for everything that a player does, but when you see constant mistakes like this from your players, when the other team's guys are making those big plays to win these games, that does ultimately fall on the head coach. So again, if this was a one game sample size or a one season sample size, I'm fine with just lumping in that way, but it's kind of like the James Franklin effect at Penn State, right? Where it's like you can only have so many losses against ranked teams before we have to move on because it's just not happening under you. So look, Shane's got what, 3 more games against AFC South guys, those 2-7. He has a chance to turn that into 5-7 or a chance to turn that into 2-10 by the end of the season. I think we'll have a very clear picture of how it looks against these divisional teams, but ultimately your head coach, you need to find a way to win these games. You got to get these guys need to be prepared. They need to be ready. They need to execute on Sundays. And when they don't, it falls on you. It falls on you as a coach. It's the same way it falls on a manager if your employees are struggling out there. So they need to get it done. This weekend is a big step, but also those other remaining games in the AFC South, because to have as big a lead as they've had in this division all year, they can't blow it now. They have to turn it up. And it's on Steichen and the rest of these guys to get it going. But that's all we have for a Shane Steichen conversation. We will certainly have more of these conversations the rest of the way. But it's game week. We're getting ready for the Jacksonville Jaguars. So coming up, we're going to talk about the first injury report of the week and how there's some notable names on both sides going into this big game.
All right, guys, the holidays are officially here, which means gift hunting season is on. And if you want something meaningful, personal, and guaranteed to get a reaction, Aura Frames is the gift that delivers every time. It's not just something you wrap, it's a way to share memories. Because Aura isn't just your average picture frame. You could preload the frame with photos before gifting it. So when they plug it in, the memories are already there. No apps to figure out, no setup headaches, just instant smiles. Personally, I think I've bought like 3 or 4 of these so far as Christmas gifts over the years. It is a guaranteed hit. Some of us say, we have kind of like the built-in, I'm not a good gift giver, I don't know what to give people, blah, blah, blah. Anyone would like this, number one. But if you're looking for like a grandparent, your parent, whatever, they will not, they could not love anything more than this. And like you mentioned, you could preload it with pictures, and it's super easy because younger folks, we are our family's IT. It's all controlled through apps and everything. It's incredibly easy and user-friendly. It is a complete fail-safe gift. I cannot recommend them enough. And for a limited time, save on the perfect gift by visiting auraframes.com to get $35 off Aura's best-selling Carver matte frames, named #1 by Wirecutter, by using promo code LOCKEDON at checkout. That's AURAFrames.com, promo code LOCKEDON. This deal is exclusive to listeners, and frames sell out fast, so order yours now to get it in time for the holidays. Support the show by mentioning us at checkout. Terms and conditions apply. All right, welcome back, everydayers. We are talking Colts week 14, and that first injury report has come out, and it's not terrible, but some interesting names coming up on the list. We've learned to tamp down expectations for Wednesdays because they can look pretty violent, and then Thursday comes, and then everyone's worries are quelled a little bit. So let's go through the DNPs today that did not participate. Josh Downs was out with a hip and a knee. Sauce Gardner, as is expected, had the calf. He was out. Tyquan Lewis, ankle. That's another new one. And Kenny Moore, illness and ankle. So Tyquan, Kenny, and Josh Downs, those are the new ones. Daniel Jones was full, and then Jalen Carlies was also full. So for Carlies, this is his final week of his 21-day window. So the Colts are either going to have to keep him on IR or activate him this week. It's the fork in the road time for him. So he's either going to start playing or they're just going to keep him on IR. But he has practiced in full for 3 weeks now. So I've got to assume he's going to be activated, Zach.
Yeah, and notably too with Carlisle, the Colts have one open roster spot as of right now because of the release of Michael Badgley. So technically that spot is already right there for him to be activated. I'm assuming we'll see him activate in the next couple days. I mean, like you said, Jake, he's been practicing fully for the past like 3 weeks now. If he's good to go, get him out there. If he's not, just shut it down. Like, I don't know what more you need to see. I think a lot of it was just acclimating him to the defense and acclimating him because, he hadn't early August, but now he should have his conditioning in the right place and be ready to go. And I'm curious to see what it looks like in terms of his playing time because this should be his season debut this upcoming weekend. Does he have a role on defense? Is it all special teams? I'm very curious to see what his overall snaps look like. But aside from that, nothing too crazy. Kenny, I expect we'll see a full practice tomorrow. The ankle is what he's been dealing with all year, the ankle and Achilles. And then the illness is probably why he just didn't practice today. Tyquan, you said it's a new injury with the ankle. Was his past injury not an ankle? What was his last injury?
His was groin. The one that kept him out a few weeks was a groin.
Okay, so we'll see with Tyquan Lewis. You can never count on it with him. Sauce Gardner, not going to play this week. We already kind of know he's not playing. The interesting one is obviously Josh Downs with the hip and the knee. How serious is that? He's dealt with a lot of leg injuries in his career thus far. So we'll see how serious that one is because now with Adonai Mitchell out in New York, the receiver depth is a bit limited in terms of who the Colts have to throw out there. So Doolin's on IR as well right now. So is it going to be just all Gould? Do we get Coleman Owen finally up? I've been calling for it all
year.
You
have been wanting that one bad.
Yeah. What do we see if Downs is unable to go this week? But we'll have to see obviously the rest of the week because, like you said, Jake, Wednesday is kind of the toughest day to really get a gauge for Sunday because anyone with a scratch is being held out, especially when they said it was a walkthrough today. And this was kind of like their estimation.
Yeah, get used to walkthroughs on Wednesdays, probably through the rest of the year. If I'm not mistaken, Shane's been doing that at least last year too. So walkthrough Wednesdays, that's a new theme. The Jaguars actually had a handful of pretty important guys not practice today. Starting, I think, left tackle Walker Little was out with a concussion. Edge rusher Trayvon Walker with a knee. Now he's been out. Wide receiver Parker Washington, who's really been turning it on as of late. He had a hip injury. And then safety Andrew Wingard was out with a concussion today as well. So Jaguars could be without at least a couple pretty important pieces in this matchup.
Yeah, no, those are four pretty big pieces there. Little, I think, either went out early this past game or was out already in this past game. So we'll see if he's able to move through that concussion protocol. Trayvon Walker has been out for a minute. Very important player. So if he's able to get back out there for them, that would be vital for the Jaguars. But I'm really curious about Parker Washington with that hip injury because he's been really under the radar good. Yeah, he's been under the radar, just good, consistent. I think Jaguars are up there among the league leaders in drops, but Washington's one of the few players who hasn't dropped the football this year for the Jaguars. So if he's unable to go, it kind of leaves like this volatile mess of wide receiver room for them. And then you mentioned Andrew Wingard. He's kind of been a thorn in the Colts side the last couple of years. I vaguely remember, I want to say he got an interception in that 6-0 Colts loss at Jacksonville back in. No, maybe it wasn't that one, but I know he got
one before.
Yeah, maybe it wasn't the 6-0 game. But I know he's gotten a couple interceptions in those at Jacksonville games against the Colts. It might have been against Rivers in that week 1 in 2020, but
I think he did. Yeah.
He's had some good games against the Colts in the past. So some notable players for Jacksonville in this, big division bout this weekend.
Yeah. So let's just real quick run down with like Jones and Sauce Gardner. So with Jones, the Colts do expect the fibula injury to get better as the season goes on. So like he's playing through it and everything, but they're confident that there's not like a high risk of, more severely injuring that. And they think it's going to heal on its own. So I hope they start to sprinkle in more and more things from earlier in the season on the playbook. Now I think the last thing to come will probably be the quarterback sneak. Like that one we may not see that until they deem him 100%, but more bootlegs, things like that. And then when it comes to Sauce Gardner, IR is not anything being considered right now. So I've got to imagine we're going to see him be out probably 2 to 4 weeks, more likely 3 if I had to guess. So at some point, maybe we see Buckner and Sauce Gardner on the field at the same time, and Mooney Ward God, I cannot talk today. Mooney Ward, if he can kind of rebound and gather himself back together, the Colts defense could be pretty formidable by weeks 17, 18.
As we've been saying all year, it's been the Overton window, I guess, has kept being pushed. I guess it's not the right term, but the window's been pushed over and over, where it was like, oh yeah, the second half of the year, the Colts defense full health. And then it was like, okay, after Buckner gets back week 14 on, now it's maybe week 17, they'll be full health. I'm fully anticipating every single defender on this Colts team to go down with an injury by week 17. Now.
Week 18 will be critical. We don't know, like week 18 could be for the division. It's at Houston. Maybe by week 18, you get everybody you need out there, at least on the defensive side of the ball. We can only pray. We gonna pray.
Yeah. And the last thing I'll add to is when you said no more QB sneaks, they better only be practicing all week Tyler Warren fielding that under center thing, because if you can't, you have to have a QB sneak in your playbook in 2025. You have to have it. So I don't care if it's Warren. I don't care if you have to bring Riley Leonard out there. I don't care if you just snap it to Mo Alley Cox because no one's getting him down for half a yard on there. Like whoever you have to snap it to, make sure there is a QB sneak in your playbook, because I'm so tired of them turning around and handing the ball off on 3rd and 1 and 4th and 1 just to get stuffed. Like you need to just fall forward with your quarterback. That is the most gimme play, and having it be a fumble like it was in this past game was just embarrassing. But coming up, guys, we have my favorite segment. I'm not trying to run this segment long so I don't have to talk about it. We're going to talk all about kickers. The Colts made a big change at kicker, and Jake has been just giddy to have us as a whole segment. So coming up, we're going to talk about the Colts kicker situation.
NFL Sundays move fast. One big play and suddenly everything feels different. That's what makes live betting with FanDuel so exciting. You're not just watching the game, you're reacting to it in real time. With FanDuel, you can place bets as the action unfolds, every drive, every momentum swing, every highlight moment. Live betting is best when the game starts to shift. A receiver gets hot, a defense tightens up, or the momentum flips after a turnover. FanDuel lets you jump in the moment. Live spreads and money lines adjust instantly. Player props update as guys heat up. And you can bet next touchdown scorers, drive results, totals, and more. It keeps you locked into every snap, every drive, every possibility. This weekend, it's pretty much a toss-em. The Colts are 1.5-point favorites in Jacksonville, again, where they have not won since 2014. They're on the heels of a division loss, so take your pick. The total over-under is 47.5 points. So bet accordingly. Let us know what you think you're going to do. But yeah, if you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long. FanDuel, the game moves fast, and so can you. All right, welcome back, everydayers. There was a monumental kicker move made by the Colts. I will give the Colts credit. Like, rarely does fan outrage match up with what happens in reality so quickly. But when Michael Badgley missed his 3rd extra point in the last 7 games on Sunday against Houston, I think everyone was pretty much done. And the coaching staff, no one could really defend it anymore, because at the end of the day, you can miss 50-plus yard field goals and have a little lenience on it. But if you're not going to miss extra points, it's crazy. And Shane Steichen downplayed the decision-making afterward. But so you miss the extra point, and then late in the game, you're down 4 instead of 3. You now need a touchdown to go ahead and win it rather than strategically trying to get a field goal to tie it and send it to overtime. It changes things. When you miss gimmies like that, it changes the plan in the future. Whether the Colts are willing to consider that or not, like that was the reality of the point differential you were facing. So Badgley is out. He was 10 of 11 on his field goals, His only miss was the 53-yarder in Berlin that was short and right, via 18 of 21 on extra points. So on Tuesday, the Colts worked out Blake Grupe, Justin Tucker, and Maddox Trujillo. They ultimately wound up signing Grupe to the practice squad. So they'll probably just call him up 2-3 times, see how he kicks. If he's a disaster, they may move on to someone else. But he's on the practice squad for now, and he'll be a game day call-up for the foreseeable future until they can't anymore. So here's the caveat with him. He was so bad in New Orleans this year that he got cut himself. He missed 8 field goals this year. And, like, by golly, it's only the beginning of December. So there's that. He does make his extra points, though. So take that.
He still missed 2 of them, though. Like,
yeah, in his career. But
okay.
He's a 79.8% field goal kicker for his career, which is bad.
C+.
No, I think it's if you look at the leaders right now, that's probably quite bad, I would have to guess. Again, he missed 8 this year, which affects that total. But he is a career essentially 98% kicker on extra points. Again, only missed 2 in 3 years. So it's just going to be a wild ride. Maybe the Colts go for it more on fourth. Maybe they go for more 2-point conversions, which is good. Like, maybe more aggressiveness. But yeah, the kicker situation is not great.
I just don't understand why kickers exist. But anyway, talking about Blake Grupe here, I will defend this decision one way, and it's in the most Zach way ever when it comes to kickers. Nobody knows how a kicker is going to wake up one day and just if they can kick or not. Nobody knows. You could have the greatest kicker in the history of football one day just wake up and be like, you know what? I don't know how to do this anymore. And you could have the worst kicker, a guy who's missed 8 this year, and all of a sudden never miss a kick ever again. It's just, It's all about how it rolls. It's all about the mind of a kicker, which is just, you can't quantify. It's the most irrational thing in the history of the world is the mind of a kicker. So I don't care about the past history whatsoever when it comes to kickers because nobody can project the future with them. They're all bad. They all suck at all times. They're all the worst things that happen to football. But the Colts certainly had to make a move at kicker. You just can't miss extra points. And I think the final like nail in there was just that missing in a dome situation at home. Like there's no excuse. Like you can maybe hand wave away the Steelers one road environment. I think it was his first kick of the year too. Was that one? The one against Atlanta was overseas with that really disgusting turf. So maybe those two you can hand wave away. But at home in a dome and to shank it like that, especially when the other kicker was allowed to miss an extra point and his counted, like you have to at least find some way to get yours to count, like the other kicker did. But yeah, no, they had to make a move. I'm glad they made the move. You could tell it was coming when Shane said, like, I'm going to leave that to Chris Ballard instead of defending his kicker on Monday. But yeah, we'll see what Blake Grupe can do. He's been atrocious this season, but again, past history has no vibes when it comes to kicking. It's just all about up in their head. So if he has a good night's sleep or something before the game, he might make 20 kicks in a row. Like it's just what was the kicker? There was like a kicker who got cut earlier this year, and then his next game he was like 6 of 6 from field goals. Like it doesn't matter with kickers.
Right.
They will. It really just comes up like what side of the bed they slept on the night before, if they're going to make kicks or not. So we'll see. We'll see. You guys, the only thing that I can really guarantee is once he misses a kick, I will be yelling about him.
You'll be ready to rip him to shreds.
That's me with kickers.
If we're going to put out a little shred of hope, though, Brian Mason had him at Notre Dame in 2022. So maybe there's something there where he can unlock that consistency in him. And I mean, I'd have to
make them instead of missing them. Like make sure you make kicks.
Yeah, he goes out there. He's like, hey, kick it through the uprights.
Through the uprights. Oh, I didn't even realize. I was trying to hit the upright all year long. I didn't even realize.
Hey, before you go out there, let's have a good kick. Stuff like that.
Oh man,
the high end of coaching.
That's the full extent of a kicker conversation we could have on this channel. But I will say, to bring it back to special teams that I actually like talking about, the special teams needs to be better this weekend than what it was in this past game. Not only the kicking, but the kick coverage, the kick returning, the punt coverage, the punt returning. I'm very concerned about the lack of Ashton Dulin, honestly, going forward for the punt game. Now, I don't want the Colts to ever punt again because I want them just to be scoring on every offensive possession, but the punt coverage left a lot to be desired, and I think that's the first time all year I've really said that. The punt coverage has been number one in the NFL every single week except for this past week. So the loss of Dulin was massive out there. You want to see it just kind of pick up and be a little bit better. Rigoberto Sanchez also had just a dreadful punt before the half where he kicked it like right into the end zone from the 40-yard line. That has to be inside the 10. It just can't happen. So overall, the whole special teams unit needs a bounce back week because that whole entire unit did not show up on Sunday against the Texans.
No, special teams in general was just a disaster, which again, that sucks because they have been the most consistent unit all year. But in a close 4-point game, if they would have performed better, who knows how much, if at all, that would have affected the outcome. Probably not, but you never know.
I mean, well, no, 100%. If the special teams performs better, they are arguably in overtime because just the kicking performing better, they're in overtime.
Well, I discount the actual field goal and kicking portion of it, but like the coverage and what they're core for.
Right. No, I mean, who knows with some of these other things, but yeah, for sure. The Colts special team, maybe that's a good way to loop it around to our first segment again, Jake, is teams that win these big time divisional games don't have these kind of down performances from key units on their team. And that's ultimately what comes back down to your head coach, the CEO, the manager of your football team. So we'll have more conversations like this going forward. Join us again tomorrow for the crossover Thursday with Locked On Jaguars. Tony is always a blast to talk to. And also tonight for the Locked On Colts squad show, Jake will be hosting yet again as Derek is in paradise, I think, somewhere across the globe. But yeah, we'll be having a fun show. Alan Pinkett will be joining us as always. So thank you guys, though, for making Locked On Colts your first listen today and every single day. For your next listen, get a double dose of Locked On NFL podcast. Tyler the Madman Rowland gives you a shot of espresso to start your football day, while Tony Wiggins, the aforementioned Jaguars host over there, takes you into the barbershop for the smoothest breakdowns to end the day. Find Locked On NFL on YouTube, wherever you listen to your podcast. If you guys want to become a Locked On Colts insider and chat with us directly and get that insider scoop, follow the link in our show notes. And if you don't already, make sure you're following at Locked On Colts, at Jake Arthur NFL, and at Zach Hicks 2, all on socials. Also subscribe to us on YouTube, wherever you listen to your podcast. We love you guys' rings, reviews, and we'll catch you guys back here tonight for that Locked On Colts squad show.